Indeed, man. Welcome to another episode, man, of Facts, man. I'm your host, E. Dale, man, a.k.a. Mr. Facts, man. And today, man, we still talking about race in the black community in America, and we're still talking about the divide between the black community and law enforcement. Today's guest, man, I have on today, he's in law enforcement, man. He's a friend to the show. He's a guest to the show, man. And we just want to talk about and discuss some of the issues going on in America today. So my man is here today. Why don't you introduce yourself for me, big guy?
What's going on? My name is Adonis Boomer, federal law enforcement.
Okay.
From Jersey in New York City.
Okay.
Also lived in North Carolina for a while.
So look, man, it's good seeing you, man, and I'm happy that you're a part of the show, man, and a guest of the show, man. And I gotta have you on regularly because a lot of these things that are reoccurring in the country and in the black community, I want to talk about. People want to hear it. They want to hear it from law enforcement perspective. Law enforcement wants to hear it from the black community's perspective, and so does the rest of the country. So look, we had an incident occur a couple of days ago with a military sergeant, a veteran, who stopped the black guy going through. His wife actually stopped him, according to the story and some of the video that I've been seeing, and stopped the guy and told him to get out of the neighborhood and everything like that. So look, with the climate in the country, how do you feel about that?
To me, that was just straight baiting, in my opinion, from what I see. Black male, young male, right, walking in the neighborhood, minding his own business. I haven't seen there was any criminal mischief or anything. To me, I feel though that was a straight blatant racism. What are you doing here?
Okay.
In my opinion.
So look, and you are,
and I'm military, ex-military. I was in the Army as well. So
okay, all right.
Military police.
So not only you being in the military and being a veteran and working in law enforcement as a black officer, watching that, I mean, how do you feel about that? I mean, how does it make you feel as an officer, a black officer, when you see that?
Well, just a black person in general, I see is wrong because that could have been me, that could have been you, that could have been my son, that could have been your son, that could have been anybody's son or daughter walking and being profiled for no reason. If nobody's doing anything, what happens to you can walk around the neighborhood, you just going for a walk. You can walk in anybody's neighborhood, as long as they in a gated community where, you're not supposed to be there, then you're pretty much able to walk anywhere.
Right.
From a law enforcement's point of view, I mean, the guy was straight wrong. I mean, he definitely violated. Yeah. He should have been arrested and charged.
Right. So look, I'm here. Look, I don't even know what you can charge him with. I mean, he pushed him, so I guess you could get simple assault.
It's not a big charge where he's going to do like a lot of time, but it's
Yeah.
I saw the Richland County police chief, the sheriff, the conference on TV. I follow it on Facebook because one of my buddies I went to college with is actually a sheriff there.
Okay.
The K9 sheriff in Richland County.
Okay. So look, they're watching that story unfold, man, because it's hard, even for, coming from the community I came from and you coming from those communities as well, even though you're in law enforcement. But it's disheartening when you can't even walk down your street, your own street in America in 2021. I thought that this was supposed to be one of those times where collectively America was going to be together and it was going to be great and these incidents won't occur. And these incidents are still occurring today. So, why does this happen more often in the black community? I mean, can you give us an explanation of why cops see or ex-veterans or just white people in general, why they view black people like that? I mean, is there any explanation?
The only explanation I can have is ignorance. It's 2021, we ain't back in the 50s, 40s,
right.
1900s. It's 2021. There's bad in every race, so I can't say, that, it was, all white people, all black people, all Asian people, all Hispanic people was bad, because I can't say that because I have friends of all races that have good, great buddies who I could count on. you know, and it is all on how I guess how you raised or who you hang around.
Yeah. Well, look,
you know, for the most part.
Yeah,
everybody have a little. Not say everybody. Some people have a little bit of racism in them. Whether you're from the hood and you ain't never been out the hood, you're gonna have a perspective of a different type. You know, if you ain't never been to the suburbs or hung around people who have money, whether of any type of race. So everybody has a little ignorance in it, but I believe it's all your upbringing. Like I was never raised to be, you know, racist or hate any type of color. So
right. Well, I don't think most black people were raised to care about color. I mean, we just wanted to be out, you know what I'm saying? But I think that when you say everybody has a little racist in them before we go forward, I think it's prejudice. I think everybody has a little prejudiceness in them.
Prejudice.
Because racism and prejudice.
Before I moved to the suburbs from New York City, all I knew was New York City.
Right. So
I never knew the suburb life. So when I came to the suburbs in Jersey, you know, it was totally different from, you know, from New York City as far as like the schools, you know, everything else. So it was a big difference. But I mean, I was raised with an open mind, so you know, I adapted and overcome, and I never was prejudiced towards anybody. But I just seen like, you know, just how people who have money live compared to where I used to live. I lived in a project, so it was like it was different. So you know, I was ignorant to that part, but I didn't want to be here, but then actually living here in Jersey after a while, the suburbs, I loved it.
Right.
I don't want to go back to New York. I don't want to live in New York City because it's too much.
Too much. So,
I like my peace. I like my peace and quiet.
Hey, look, let me ask you a question, bro, because look, me and you, we kick it a lot, and we talk about these issues. Look, how, because a lot of people don't know, especially our community, the black community, how hard is it being a black cop? Like, how difficult is it when you approach someone like me, say, I'm from the streets, if you just approach me from the streets, like, giving you a hard time as a black cop, like, how hard is that for you to deal with?
The hard part about being a black cop is being called names from your own people.
Wow.
You know, you're a sellout, you're Uncle Tom, you part of the system. You know, you're trying to bring us down. You ain't trying to help us. I became a law enforcement officer to help people.
Right.
You know, and also, you know, if I saw somebody, for instance, I saw somebody smoking weed.
Right.
This is before all this legalization stuff. Say if I saw somebody smoking weed, have a blunt, then they should just walk in or whatever, smoking a joint or whatever. You know.
Right.
I'll stop them. Hey, what you doing? You know, blah, blah, blah. I smell weed. You're not supposed to be doing that, blah, blah. I'll educate them. Listen, you need to be out of sight, out of mind with that. You know what I'm saying? To me, someone just smoking a joint or a blunt, whatever, is not really a big violation. I'll take it, give them a speech, you know, make sure run in there, make sure they're good, and be like, listen, don't do that again because, you know, you actually get jammed up where it can mess up your career in the long run, you know, as you get older. Right. You know, something simple that can also stop you from being law enforcement as well, if you decide to be a law enforcement or fireman or whatever, because of the fact that you have that little dumb CDS charge.
Right. Look, I'm glad we're having this conversation because you actually touched me by some of the things you just said. Look, first of all, I mean, being called names by your own people, I mean, sellout. I mean, that's touching because, look, reason why I say that is because it was a point in my life where I felt like that about black law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that was my ignorance. That was me. I have nothing against law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? I have something against racist police officers. But people, I mean, knowing that and feeling how hard that is, man, to listen to you describe some of those things and how you handle yourself, because I've never gotten anything like malice from you. Like if you've ever ran up on me or been around, I've never gotten anything like that from you. You always smiled, you always talked, you always kicked it. And look, to be able to walk up on somebody just from when they maybe smoking a joint or whatever, like you're saying, and just talking to them and giving them a speech like that, and you know what I'm saying, encouraging them like, yo, You know, you could do other things. You could be better. You know what I'm saying? This will hold you back from law enforcement. And if it gets you in something worse, you know what I'm saying, then it can hold you out, not just in law enforcement, but in other places in society. Because I'm experiencing that story myself, but I'm an overcomer. I continue to go. I continue to push. So that's why I'm in the position that I'm in now. But yeah, man, I got a little sentimental when you was telling that, you know what I'm saying, talking about that. So look, to this point right now, what do you think about the George Floyd trial?
There's a lot of great points that are being shown that, you know, that George Floyd didn't die from the meth in the system, you know, the drugs in the system. There's a lot of medical facts and data and a lot of experts that are breaking that down, which I compliment the prosecutors on how they're doing things. The thing is, it's up in the air. You never know, because you know if Derek Chauvin is going to be convicted of murder, he will be the first one that is convicted of, the first ex-cop, police officer convicted of murder. In my opinion, he murdered him. But you know, the color of the law shows you got to have motive and intent of murdering someone.
Right.
So that's the hard part to follow. And a lot of people in the world, you know, don't realize that, especially in our communities. Like, you know, yes, if someone comes and shoot and kill you, it's going to be hard it's going to be hard for them to be charged with murder unless they have a reason. You know, it's got to be a reason on why you got murdered.
So you're saying Derek Chauvin could possibly get off without a motive?
No.
Or get a lesser charge. Let me say that. Get his degree on less.
Manslaughter is a lot easier to be charged with than murder.
Okay.
Murder, you gotta have. So, for instance, they knew each other, right?
Okay.
They knew each other somehow across the paths, were either working at a club or whatever, while you know Derek Chauvin was off duty and you know working. Pro bono, not pro bono. Working off the moonlighting, and you know. And George Floyd was security at a club. So if they had an argument and somebody seen that and they said, you know, I'm gonna get you, that is kind of like, okay, we can get him for murder because you plotted this out. But manslaughter, a lot of cops and a lot of people, even in the street, get charged with manslaughter more than murder because you got to actually prove that this person wanted to murder this person. Right. Now it's straight up. As you look at the film, it shows murder. Right. But as far as the color of the law, they need to change that and kind of like finagle it so that way, for something like that, like you knew this guy, you was on his neck for that long, and you know, you pretty much murdered him. They got to fix it. But, you know, you never know. The jury might charge him with murder, you know, but if, you know, we'll see. So, I mean, I hope that he does get charged with murder because, to me, he did murder him, you know, blatantly. And a lot of cops that I know, black, white, Latino, Asian, whatever, they was like, yeah, that's straight up murder.
Right. But the black community I feel like me personally, let me say me, that he could possibly, you know, maybe still get off. I mean, that's just me because I've seen black people convicted of less. People in our community convicted of less. No actual evidence or all these type of things. And that's the hurtful part because we have it and we've had this time and time again. There's one in South Carolina that shot the guy and put the taser or something on him. I can't remember his name. He was convicted, but I don't know if it was first degree murder. But I mean, too many times we have the evidence and these cops are getting off. And the black community, we like, we already feeling like he gonna get off. This always happens. It's always justifiable. Like, what can you say to some of the people in the community that's really outraged and upset and like just want? Because a lot of people really just want to take action. This is what I've been hearing, and I'm like, listen, you can't do that because if you do that, you will lose every time.
Take positive action, not negative action.
Right. So look, my thing is this, but a lot of people are freaking upset because people are just almost tired of this. And look, it's not just the black community. You see how many white people are out here protesting, marching,
Yeah.
screaming, and that's what scares, I think, maybe corporate America, that is so many white people, especially young white people, like, nah, we're not doing this. You know what I'm saying? So look, the black community feel like that they can still get off. I mean, what would you say to them as a person in law enforcement if someone asked you, say, hey, look, Adonis, I think you're gonna get off, man. I'm mad as hell. I want to go out and do something. What would you say? Tell them. What would you tell them?
What I would say is educate yourself on the law.
Right.
So you will understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You meaning like really know what it takes to be the charge and convict somebody of murder.
Right.
Then also find out what other charges that person can be charged of if they don't get charged of murder. Once a lot of people in the world understands that,
right, they
will understand, okay, well, laws need to be changed. So then, and that's the case, then you need to go to the selected officials,
right,
and protest and put a petition in on changing those laws,
right,
to the higher up, all the way up to the federal, Supreme Court, because that's where it happens. But going out and tearing up your neighborhood, violent protesting, that is not going to help.
That's not going to help.
Now it's not going to help at all, because now, guess what? You're protesting and you violently protesting. Guess what? Or not saying everyone,
right,
but 90% of the people that are protesting, or 95% of the people that are protesting, are peaceful protesting.
Right.
But there's always one person that's going to be like, you know what, forget it, I'm going to break this window.
Right.
And then that's what the people are already outraged, and that's what happens.
Right.
Me, I like to go out and go do a protest, peaceful protest too. But the only reason why I don't is because, for one, I'm in law enforcement. Two, well, the reason why, because I'm in law enforcement, and if I go out and protest, say me and you go out and do a protest.
Right.
There's not a lot of cops out in the crowd protesting.
Right.
If violence break out, me and you could be running trying to get away from the violence, but because the cops is about to start arresting people, tear gas people, and we can get apprehended and arrested for actually doing a violent crime we didn't even do.
Right. So
that's why I don't protest unless it's like I know officials, mayors, aldermen, and senators, or police officers, are out there and they actually doing the protest, because I'm gonna make sure I'm with them. Because
but see, black people not gonna be with the black people, and the other people that's protesting are not gonna be standing alone. Can you give me a time where law enforcement and the community stood together and protested against some of these acts?
All right, so in Camden, New Jersey, actually the police chief and a lot of police officers and aldermen and all that stuff, they all came and walked together and actually did a protest.
With the community?
Yes, with the community.
Okay, all right.
Peaceful protest.
Okay.
It was during the day, and it was a nice peaceful protest, and then they also had people speak.
Okay.
So if you're not, you can look it up, and it did happen. And in a lot of places, it did happen. There was one in California where I believe one of the sheriffs did it. So it's places that have it, but see, it don't make media attention because good stuff don't sell.
Well,
all the negativity sells.
Look, I hear you on that.
Yeah, I follow these platforms, so I know there's actually a lot of when all this is happening between George Floyd and then the other case happened before that. Right. There's actually a lot of peaceful protests with police officers coming together and doing it.
Right.
Not every police chief did that or sheriff did that, but the ones who did, they actually did do it.
Right.
And there was no issues.
Backing up a little bit, I agree with you and take the position with you in saying that violent protest is not the right way. You tearing up your community is not the right way. That's just my thing. I'm a firm believer in economics. The black people transactions are worth $1 billion. I say, hey, look, spend money with the people that care about you. And if you just say, hey, look, we're not gonna spend money with you for 2 or 3 months, or get you out the community so your business can fail, or go to the polls. Listen, I keep telling, this is my thing. Most people, especially black people, we're misconstrued on that concept that the presidential election is the high election, and which is the one that's going to help them. It's not. The local election, because you get to vote in your sheriff, your district attorneys, your fire chiefs, your commissioner, your mayors. Listen, and I tell the people in my community all the time, and I'm gonna say this again, aka Mr. Facts, man, Edel said it. I'm telling you, go to the polls, vote for these. Find out who in your community that's running for these local offices, and vote for who best represents you in your community. Because guess what? Those are the people that make decisions for you every single day of your life. How you get your employment, taxes in the state. Locally, all these things. So this is what I preach to the people.
Your senators and governors.
Right. Violence is never going to be the key because, look, it doesn't matter. We'll get annihilated like that. Even the white people that'll be marching, because this is just not a black issue. This is a worldly issue, especially in America. This is a worldly issue, and we got to deal with this face on. So violence is not the key. Let's mobilize. Let's get out. Let's protest peacefully. Let's vote. Let's do all these things. You know what I'm saying? So, look, man, I'm glad we got a chance to have this conversation, man, because I think this will educate a lot of people. And I'm just happy I got somebody that's a guest of the show on law enforcement that I can turn to when these things happen, because the people, may just need to hear some of these things. So you know how we was raised coming up in the neighborhoods. I mean, hard-headed as hell. We hate the cops. Listen, I was listening to the song the other day by KRS-One, the Black Cop. And when I think about that song, but back then, at that time, the song was so profound to us growing up as kids, because that time, you got to remember, we had that stop and frisk thing was going real heavy, and it was, if you had on Timberlands, if you had baggy jeans on, in a big puffy coat or whatever, you was getting pulled over. You was labeled a drug dealer or a criminal or something. So, man, look, I'm glad to have you on.
Back then, it wasn't that many black cops. So, compared to now, what I mean? So it was a lot harder on black cops in that back then, or minority cops, I would say, Hispanic and black or Asian or whatever, because, it wasn't many. Back then there was more predominantly white police force. Now it's starting to switch, especially like in New York, it's starting to switch. But it's the climate is changing. I think more minorities need to be on the police force. That's when you start making the changes. So that way, if you see that cop that's doing something wrong, you need to address it and don't hold. I understand they say blue wall signs, but me, I love my job. I love paying my bills.
Right.
I love my freedom. So I'm not going to get locked up or get jammed up because of this person doing something wrong and I ain't saying anything. Because you get just as jammed up as, the person who's actually committing the crime. So me, get out there and, the more minorities out here, the more it is that can help and make a change.
Well, I agree with you, but look, the divide is so heavy, man, in the black community. You'll get some black people that would like to go into law enforcement and things like that, but it's just, I think it's just with the community policing, man. It's the way it is and the way it's structured now. I mean, it deters black people, or minorities. Let me say, it deters minorities from going into law enforcement, especially local law enforcement. Because it's already dangerous for one, and then for two.
It's a dangerous time to be a cop right now.
Listen, let me ask you. It's a dangerous time to be a black man, actually.
No. I'm saying that too. Yeah. I'm just saying. Okay. It is, but in order to make change, you got to be able to, you need more minorities on the force. You need to change those numbers.
So the bridge and the divide. Do you think that divide between the black community and law enforcement? Do you think that could be healed? I'm saying law enforcement, not just black officers. I'm talking about law enforcement in general, because, they say blue is blue and community is community. That divide between the black community and law enforcement, can that right there be rectified? Can that be bridged?
It can be.
How?
It would take time, but it can be.
Okay, well, what are some steps that we could take, or law enforcement and the community?
For one, the community actually needs to sit down with the police chiefs, the community leaders, and come up with a plan on how could they fix this issue. Also, everyone has to be on board. You know me as when I was in corrections. I treated everyone the same, no matter different. So you know me.
Yeah, you did that.
So you know I don't have no ill malice or ill will towards anyone. I treat everyone the same. I don't see a color. All I see is personality and attitude.
Okay.
You know, and I treat everyone as a human being. So say if I'm running for police chief or sheriff, I got police chief or sheriff. Where you at? Which one?
We got both.
So which one is bigger, the sheriff or the police chief?
I think the police chief. I would say.
Okay, so say if I'm running for a police chief in your city, in town, and I come to you, you know me personally,
right?
And you know when I'm coming to everybody trying to get the community together, I'm bringing community, I'm having meetings, I'm having outings, cookout barbecues, trying to bring the community together, trying to get my police on page. I got good leaders underneath me who are on the same page, who want to do community police and who wants to change the climate. I have everybody on board on my part.
Right.
I'm going to weed out all the ignorant cops, whether they black, white, Asian, because there's prejudice in every race. So I'm going to weed out those bad cops.
Right.
I'm going to make sure, pressure them, look at their cases and make sure that everything's right. Now, then I come to you and say, hey, I'm going to get on this platform and I'm trying to do this. And then people in the community like, nah, man, I'm not getting involved because, cops, they always say this, say that.
Right.
But I'm 100%. The only way I'm going to get the rest of this project to work out right is if I get my community involved.
Right.
But if the community don't want to get involved, how is it going to work? So it's got to be a collective. Everybody got to meet in the middle.
I agree.
And we have to do that. It has to start somewhere.
It does.
So if we're going to keep complaining about it, we need to do something about it.
Right.
And violence is not the key. And let's sit down and have these talks. Now I can say, okay, I'm going to start having more cops come out, get to know the community, get to know who's what. But also the community also got to get the negativity out there.
Right.
The neighborhood by letting the cops know who's the bad people.
Right.
That's where the problem is at, because now, you're a snitch, this and that.
Right.
You don't mind the badness in the community until it actually physically affects you.
Right. I think that for most people, they're gonna feel like that in a way. I just think that it's so painful for most of these communities to see most of their people, innocent people, get shot as well because or get killed at the hands of law enforcement, that they just can't turn back. They just blinded. And it's painful because I listen, trust me, I got every emotion in my body, anger, but I do also think that there are ways to do this. You know what I'm saying? To bring the community together. You know what I'm saying? There are ways, like you said, and I will highlight that fact. It's going to take both sides. If you're a law enforcement and you're trying to help the community and trying to get to know the people in your community so that when things happen in your community, your guys can get together and figure these things out, it's going to take both sides. And people are going to have to stop saying, nah, because he in law enforcement, I ain't doing that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to stop.
I don't want nobody to know I'm a snitch.
Right. So look, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second. And I'm going to ask you a question. I just want to ask you because I know that when I talk to you, you've always been a fair guy. If you were an officer at the scene that day when Derek Chauvin was doing what he's doing, what would have been your thought? What action would you have taken? Would you have taken action?
Yes, I would have.
And what would you have done? Because you would have been targeted by the rest of the officers like you went against your own. Like, what would have been a step that you would have taken in that moment and to show the community that wasn't right? No, just not the community, but as yourself in law enforcement, what would you have done? What would be the first step?
I would have snatched him. I would have literally snatched him off him, like physically pulled him and threw him off.
Wow.
Pulled him to the side, told the other officer, watch Mr. Floyd while I handle this situation. And I'd be like, what is your problem? You got tunnel vision? Are you retarded or something? Because you're not going to get me in trouble. And plus, also, what you're doing is wrong.
Right.
Let me handle this. If you have an issue, you need to do crowd control or take a chill pill. Also, I would have called my supervisor also and told him, listen, we need a sergeant down here ASAP.
Right. Damn, man. Hey, look.
And if I had to physically assault my one fellow officer to stop him from doing that, I would have.
Now listen.
even in my position right now, if I was on duty and I saw that, and I sat there and saw that, and I saw him actually getting, his life starting to go, I would have just tackled the guy. I would have took the charge. Listen, I would have took the charges, but guess what?
He would have been alive.
A life would have been saved, and then also, I would let the law handle that.
Well said, my brother.
That's me, and also a lot of my buddies who are cops, and all from all the rest said the same thing. They would do that.
Well said, bro. Well said, man. Look, man,
because it doesn't make sense. That's wrong. It's blatantly wrong.
It is, man. And now look, we need more cops like you in the community, and we need more faces like yours in the community. And look, and
that's why I said we need more minorities to join police forces, because we can make the change.
Yeah. Well, I can't join, unfortunately. So, and I probably wouldn't join because I don't want to get shot and I don't want to shoot nobody. You know what I mean? I'm just, I'm too old to be running anyway. I got a back injury.
I got a back injury too, but I still do what I do.
Hey, look, man, let me get out of here, man. I wanted to just put you on the spot with that question, man. I know you're a busy guy, man. And look, I'm going to always reach out, man, when these situations occur, man.
Do you want to touch on the situation that happened in Brooklyn, Minnesota, or no?
Which you talking about with the sergeant? Which one?
Was it Dante, right?
He was the one that was killed by the girl, right? The lady officer.
The female police officer.
But you know what? Yeah, before we go, look. Yeah, I want you to answer this because they're saying that she couldn't tell the difference between her taser and her gun.
Mm.
How do you feel about that?
You ever heard of fight or flight?
Yeah, I've heard of fight or flight.
So, first, let me say this. I'm going to answer that question. So, for one, I was online following this guy. I forgot his name. He does black trucking. Like, he teaches people how to do trucking. He's on Facebook and everything.
Right.
He made a comment yesterday that I seen. He says, listen, people in the world, black men especially, because a lot of us are angry, who's been through the system and stuff. He says, you got to set your pride aside and make it home to your family.
Right.
He says, your actions, you have to just comply with the cops to make it home to your family. So that way you can fight and live another day, and you can also take it up. We deal with the police or, let the lawyers handle that. But he says you have to make it home he said you got to make it home every day. You got to set aside your pride. With that being said, so I watched the film. They pulled him over because, I forgot, they ran something and then they said that he had an outstanding warrant. They pulled you over. Right? You got out the car. They told you you have a warrant, outstanding warrant. At that point in time, you're caught.
Right.
You're in police custody. The actions of him trying to get back in the car, right?
Right.
And run away from the cop. Remember, she walked away from the cop, from the stop. She was heading back to her car.
Okay.
So when she saw him get back in the car and her partner struggling, who was a black cop,
right?
She don't know what's going on. I'm coming from the mind. I'm gonna break it down.
Okay.
Coming from the mind, she didn't know what's going on. Right. He's in the car. He could be reaching. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
For something, her partner could be in danger. It's a tussle. So when she ran out, she did have her weapon out.
She said it was her taser, though. She thought it was her taser. This is a trained veteran. We talking about the weight, the weight between the two.
Let me break it down. Let me break it down. So we both can hear each other's point.
Okay.
So she runs back to the car. She sees the struggle. So she's like, taser, the flight or flight mind. So, yes. Did she did kill her. She did, because she shot and killed her.
Right.
Was it on purpose? In my opinion, no, it wasn't.
Huh?
I don't think so. Was it on? Listen to me. This is what I'm saying. Was it on purpose? I don't think it was on purpose. But she did murder him. She did kill him. She did shoot the handgun. The bullet from her gun did go out the gun and shot him. Now she did say taser. Her mind was saying taser. Saying taser, but she grabbed the wrong piece of equipment. You understand what I'm saying?
I can't look. I hear you, but I'm
about to break it down to you because 90% of the time, cops are trained more with the pistol than with the taser. You understand what I'm saying?
I hear you.
So, did she make? I think she made a mistake and grabbed the wrong piece of equipment, not her taser. She grabbed her handgun. She panicked, I think she panicked, and she grabbed the wrong one,
right.
And the result happened. Now, rewind it back. I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think if he just would have complied with the police, he would have died?
I don't know.
This is a yes or no. It's a yes or no question. They have. Everything was calm. He started resisting. He ran into the car to try to get away.
I just think that question would be more of an excuse, and that's
no. I'm just asking you as a personally question. Let's do it. You seen the video, right?
I seen the video. I think had he just went ahead, no, he probably wouldn't be dead. It's a high probability. It's a high probability, but I can't get my mind wrapped around the statement that she's making, and that
I did agree. I agree. I'm glad we agreed on that though, because if he would have just stayed calm and just got arrested, he had a warrant, he would still be living his day. That's the only thing I'm saying. I break everything down by bit. You see what I'm saying?
I hear you.
If that was my son,
right?
And I was like, yo. If a cop pull you over, listen, I don't care if you got a warrant or you did something wrong. And live another day. So we let the law handle.
But listen, and I agree with you on some of those points, but what I'm saying is I don't agree with still, even though I know he ran and he jumped, I just don't think that warranted shots. Look, this is just my thing. I think that when you say that you're a trained officer and been on the force, you're a veteran for so many years, and you can't tell the difference. And the only thing that you're saying that in your mind, unless you haven't never had an altercation or any one of these run-ins, but for you to say that you thought that you had the wrong piece of equipment, you thought you had your taser, and instead it was your 9mm or whatever it was, I just don't buy that. I think that, look, the moment he jumped in the car, the minute was just shoot. I think that's
not true because the other cop didn't shoot.
No, he didn't. But why did she feel the necessary to shoot if he didn't shoot? Is what I'm saying. If he didn't grab his firearm, pull it out and shoot, and she ran back and grabbed hers and shot. And what she's saying, it just don't make sense. Look, as any.
What is she saying? I didn't.
She's saying that it was a mistake. She thought it was her taser. She's saying that she thought it was her taser. Look, from the weight of the gun and the taser alone. I mean, come on, that's a big difference.
You're right. But
that's also a huge difference.
But also adrenaline's pumping too.
And listen, I'm not discrediting, and I'm not saying that had he complied at that moment, when they had him, we wouldn't even be talking about this. We may have not been, and it's a high probability. We're not certain that could have happened because anything could have happened getting into the car or whatever. But I'm just saying, I think that in these moments like that, police, law enforcement, I feel, need to be able to be trained to be able to disarm or dismantle. Because this guy he was almost in cuffs and snatched away and ran. I can't see. And he don't have a firearm.
We don't know. They were still searching him.
He didn't have one on him at the time.
No, listen. They were still searching him.
And see, and this is what I'm saying. These are the excuses for, you know what I mean?
No. Listen to what I'm saying. I could put myself at that scene.
Okay.
That could have been me.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? They didn't finish searching him. The reason why they stopped searching him because he started tensing up.
Okay.
So they didn't finish searching. So with a full body search, right?
Mm-hmm.
the car wasn't searched yet.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? So you can't say he didn't have a weapon on him. We didn't know. At that time, none of those cops knew if he did or did not have a weapon. What I'm trying to say, because the search wasn't fully complete. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Now, so with that being said, you can't use that because they still got to do their search.
Right.
Once I search you, once the car is searched, okay, fine. There's no weapons in there. The detention level is, you see what I'm saying?
Right.
The de-escalation level is lower.
Right.
You've seen, as in when I was in corrections, an incident happened. We search. Once after we search, okay, fine. Now I can talk to you because now I feel you don't have a weapon.
Because you're trying to make sure that you're safe, right?
Now, yes. Now the only thing you can do to me is hands on only.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But even then, there's a small possibility that you still might have something that I didn't catch because I am human. I don't catch everything.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? But the de-escalation is a lot better.
Well, look, I do got to say this. I understand. I can hear what you're saying, and I understand. I just think that still
taking a life is totally wrong. It is wrong,
and it got to be difficult for law enforcement. Listen, I can only have sympathy for in a situation like you. I know who you are. I know you.
What happened if that was me? And that happened, and I did that. How would you feel?
I would say, look, I'm from the community, and I know you, and I know that only if Adonis Boomer, and I will say this on record, go on record saying that, I know that if you felt that you were in danger, that would have happened. But if you knew, you didn't feel that you...
I was saying taser, but I made a mistake and grabbed the wrong one and did that, and I said the same thing. Well, how would you feel? What would you say? You
know what? Let me just say this. Because it's the law, it would have to go back to saying, hey, I got to go back and look at his past record. You know what I mean? I could say I know Boomer had no intentions of doing that because I know you. But I would say that. I would stand up and say that for you because I know you. I'm just saying, me personally, me knowing you, I would say that. But the rest of the community and law enforcement and attorneys and everyone's going to want to go back to your record. Like, what are some of the behavior records that you have? What are some of the incident reports on this guy? You know, what type of officer was he in the community? I mean, I'm just saying, everyone's not like that. And most of these officers have incident reports against them from the black community. So me knowing you, I'm just saying, just me knowing you personally, I would have said, damn, I mean, that's a bad case. It's a bad thing that the family is dead, and it's, you know what I'm saying? But I can understand how Boomer is feeling at this moment because I know that brother didn't intend to do that. That's just not who he is. Yeah. I can't speak for every cop like that, even other black cops.
You're right.
Because there are black officers that I don't like in my neighborhood, in my city. I don't even know if they're still there anymore, but there were ones that I grew up that I didn't like and I despised. But what I'm saying is this, I knew how they were. You know what I'm saying? They weren't like you or anything like that. So look, I'm not trying to judge the case before it happened, but what I'm saying is him running, it didn't justify his life. That's all I'm saying.
And at least we agree on that one. Like I said, I don't, more facts will come out and find out how she was as a cop. What happened if she was actually a great cop and nothing? If she just actually made a mistake? Because cops do make mistakes sometimes. Right. Because, it's a split-second judgment call. Right. What happened if there was a weapon in that car and she hesitated and guess what? And her partner got killed. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot that, as officers take in. But, like I said, I'm not condoning no life being taken. Right. I'm not saying I'm not giving her I don't want people in the community to be like, well, he's a cop, so he's going to decide. No, what's right is right, is wrong is wrong. Right, and that's all I'm saying. If the cop is right, then the cop is right. And the situation right, and everything plays out right, is right. But if the cop is wrong, he's straight up wrong. And I will say that straight to anybody. Right. I don't care if it's the chief or not, because guess what? At the end of the day, I need to sleep well at night. Right, I agree with you. I agree with you. So I feel as though there's a lot of, I'm coming at it from both sides. I'm looking at it from both sides. Because, see, I've been stopped by the cops before I was a cop. And I've been doing, I was in the streets, got pulled over plenty of times. And sometimes got into it with police officers. But I was always respectful and calm. Right. When my partners were. You know what I'm saying? Right. And then I became law enforcement because my mom always taught me to always respect law enforcement. A lot of people in this world would say, F the cops, right? This and that. Especially black cops in our community, and especially like in the cities and stuff. But it's the same ones that be like, F the cops, this and that, oh, I'll kill you, blah, blah, or promote killing. But then, when their house get robbed, or somebody shoot at them, steal a car, rob them,
right?
Guess who they call?
They call the cops. Not all of them now.
No. I know that.
I know some that won't call the cops if they can find. They have ways.
You're right. But those, that's the 10%.
Right. So look, man, I agree with you on a lot of points, man, and I'm glad that we get to have these conversations. I hope to get to do some work in the community with you one day.
I don't have a problem. You know, I'm a Mason, so I don't have a problem doing the community. So you know, I do a lot of stuff. I feed the homeless. You know, I got to do 50 trades soon. Right after New Year's, right before New Year's, I did, I think 12 or 15 trades. I went to Camden and I fed the homeless. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up,
gave them baked macaroni and cheese, all that good stuff. You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
You know, gave them some water, some fruit cups. So, you know, I don't have a problem doing anything in the community. That's what I'm supposed to do. Each one teach one, you know?
Hey, look, man, this is why, you know what, we need more people like you on the force in our communities, man. I know you're pressing for time. I'm pressed for time.
I'm good a little bit.
My recording, I'm going down and everything is, my timing is going out. And
okay, I'm gonna tell you one thing. Search YouTube about a guy in a hospital. They say racist cops tried to harass a guy, killed a guy in the hospital while he was trying to help himself, right? But he had a gun. The cops say, all right, you're getting arrested, whatever, you got a gun. So the cop, when he was doing the search, he felt the gun in his underwear. He actually shot at the cop. It was two of them. He shot at the cop. And they wound up shooting. He shot at him a couple times.
Damn.
My thing is the comment is terrible. Racist cop tried to kill a man while he was trying to help himself in the hospital. Totally wrong.
Oh, man. Look, send me a link to that. I want to read that story.
I'm going to find it.
Listen, when you get it, send me a link.
The other day, I was like, oh, this would be good. I was like, I wonder if you're going to bring that up.
Listen, I would love to talk about that, but this is my time, and I got other things to do. I got some other people on my schedule that I got to see and kick it with.
We can make this a part 2 or whatever.
Hey, listen, we're gonna definitely do that because I want you to send me that story because I want to talk about it so we can get it out there to the public.
Let me know what people say, you know, see what they say about this so I can read the comments.
I'm gonna put it out there right now and let them tell you. I'm gonna make a I'm gonna cut it. I got you. So look, hold on. I'm gonna put it out there and I'm gonna let them know as well.
And I have family members who are actually